All right, let's call this meeting to order. Dr. Cowles, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely, sir. Right hand of your heart, veterans may salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Director Gregory, here. Director Kyle Fox will be absent until 19th. Director Rooney wasn't feeling well, Robert.
He said he wasn't feeling well and he felt better, that he would make every effort to be here. I have not heard back from him. He's not here. I'm assuming he's not feeling well.
Director Calvins,
Here.
President Sangster.
Present.
We got a quorum, 3, 2 absent. I need a motion to approve the special meeting agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none.
Ooh, I could say no, I can actually cancel an item.
We moved the closed session to the last item, and we'll go from there.
Need your public comments?
I do have a public comment to read aloud. It is from a Cynthia Ripologi, Oceano CSD Director. She writes, Dear San Miguel CSD Board, as a special district participating in the Integrated Waste Management Authority, I want to make sure you are in the loop and on an important current issue and have opportunity to weigh in. Over a year ago, with substantial public support, the IWMA enacted a countywide ordinance 2019-1 prohibiting the use of polystyrene and EPS products which are now recyclable or not recyclable or biodegradable, such as styrofoam takeout containers. See, she gives a link. Last week, the board voted to move forward with repealing this ordinance. The Oceano CSD supported the ordinance when it was under consideration, see attached letter. So I was dismayed that the sole special district representative on the IWA board, Robert Innes, voted in favor of repeal. If your board supports ordinance 2019-1 and opposes repealing it, but Mr. Innes has not sought your district's input on this, please let him and the rest of the IWA leadership know soon. The repeal ordinance may have its first reading as soon as the IWMA's March 10th meeting, but would not be finalized until after the second reading, likely a month later. Well, you might have had time to agendize this before the March IWM meeting. A letter from the board would still be valuable if submitted for the April 14th meeting, and individual comments could be made sooner. You can email the entire board by clicking the link below. Feel free to call me at the number below. She did send this email to all of the directors, and she leaves her name and number. That was my public comment.
Is there any other public comment? Any board comment, other public comment?
I have one, and I wrote it out so I can keep it as brief and to the point as possible. The email that we received, I understand that the lady thinks it's a very important issue. There's an underlying issue in that email that should be addressed, and it's higher priority in my opinion. It's the fact that we have one representative on the IWMA board. There are 11 CSDs who share one representative. The combined population of 50,000 people across all of our CSDs. All the cities get their own representative. All the supervisors get their own representative. They all get one vote, and we only share one. If anything, if we send a letter, it would be to the other, it would be to Oceano and possibly Mr. Enns that we feel it's more important to have more representation on the IWMA board.
Are you volunteering?
I'm not volunteering to serve on it. I'm just saying that we need to have a conversation at some point about representation. Because, I mean, one person for 11 agencies, and you have places like Pismo Beach and Morro Bay who have 10,000 people or less, you know, and we're all sharing one person.
I agree, there's a lack of representation, but would you suggest represent from San Miguel?
It would have to be a system that the IWMA would figure it out. It could be two people, one from North County, one from South County. And then currently in the system, it is selected at the CSDA's annual meeting every 3 years.
So they're appointed by CSD?
All of us who attend that meeting, they say, okay, do you have any nominations for those positions? Someone raises their hand. Okay, all the garbage CSDs get in your group and, okay, vote for who you want, and that's the result. Yeah, that's how it was done when I was there for when they voted for him.
Okay,
So,
so we can draft a letter to that effect back to Oceano and Mr. Hines.
that's what I was just that we'd like to see more representation of the communities or some combination. I don't know how to word it specifically.
Okay,
I have it documented if you guys want to write up something, check it out.
that'd be great.
Okay. Renette, agreed?
Yes.
Okay, we'll put this as, thank you.
Any other public comment? No. All right, we'll move on to item number 1.
So we have 2 items on here tonight for you guys for consideration. The first one's through your Director of Utility Services.
So tonight we're requesting approve resolution 2021-04, authorizing the Director of Utilities to act as the authorized representative for a grant application to the State Water Resources Control Board for the planning, design, and construction of the sanitary sewer lining and manhole rehabilitation project. This is one that I mentioned before that we were working with CRWA on their putting the grant together at no cost to us. Under a separate grant that they received from State Revolving Fund. So at this point, we need to authorize a representative to be the point of contact and to sign the application. Obviously, as with all applications, the board would have final say on whether or not we actually accept it or not. So at this time, I'm asking that you approve myself as the Director of Utilities to be the authorized representative for the purposes of this grant.
Okay. Do you have any board comment or questions?
Seems very straightforward.
Have we applied for this grant in the past?
We have not applied for a grant for this particular type of project before.
Okay.
This is through Prop 68, which is the same proposition funding source that we applied for grant money for the recycled water project.
Okay.
So
But this isn't part of that?
No.
Totally separate.
it is separate, doesn't have anything really to do with that.
And what's the potential award for the grant?
Right now, we're asking for approximately $287,389.
Okay. And it's a revolving?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other board comment, questions? Any public comment? Okay, I have a motion that we approve.
Second.
Director Calvis,
Yes.
Director Gregory,
Yes.
President Sangster.
Yes.
So it passes 3-0 with 2 absences. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 2.
Item number 2 is being brought to you by the fire department. Our fire chief, assistant fire chief, Scott Young, has been working on putting this together. So you can, President.
So the recommendation is to approve resolution 2021-05 for the purchase and installation of 2 mobile data computer systems, otherwise known as MDCs, and enter into the county dispatch agreement. The staff report submitted as written I could read the whole thing, or if you have any questions that you'd like me to touch on, I could bring you the highlights, however you wish to break this down. We planned on utilizing funds from the volunteer firefighter grant from the 2020-2021 grant cycle. Unfortunately, San Miguel Fire was not awarded the grant due to a shortage in funding, and other projects had a higher priority. The goal for our last grant cycle was to purchase multiple MDCs and BK KMD P150 handheld radios and a couple BK KMD mobile units. So the department has $20,000 allocated in its budget for the purchase of said products, and then the other $20,000 was going to fill the gap and outfit everything. So what we're proposing is to enter an agreement with the county. The county has the buying power to supply the hardware, software, and technical installation at a county, or not a county, at a state rate. So the cost breakdowns for 2 units. The units would go into the new Type 3 fire engine, engine 8668, and our Type 1 fire engine, engine 8696, leaving engine 8651 and the command vehicles without the mobile data computer technology. However, this coming grant cycle, the verbiage has been changed. It's not the volunteer firefighter grant anymore, it's the rural fire services grant. And I spoke to the facilitator directly and asked if communications were not a priority, and she said absolutely communications are a priority, and to pursue them again this year. So I'm working on the grant for the next grant cycle currently, which will be released or submitted in May. But currently we're hoping, we're looking at outfitting 2 engines. In 2018, the county went dark, meaning that they were relying on MDC technology to track response vehicles, response times, vehicle locations. We've been in the dark since 2018, relying on radio communications. Fortunately, I was able to contact the new ECC battalion chief, and he's been working with me very closely to achieve this goal.
Okay, are there any board comments or questions? All right, when we stepped up and bought the tough books, was that not the initial
I'm sorry,
concept?
I have my glasses on, I couldn't see.
When we got the tough books, wasn't the initial intent to utilize those as MDTs?
No. The tough books could have been utilized as MDCs if necessary. The tough book might be an option for 8600's command vehicle. This tough book, tough book that I have is strictly utilized for my desktop and for inspection purposes. The MDC technology is not a tough book platform. It is basically a video cassette size processor that's mounted in the unit with a keyboard and screen. So it reduces the cost considerably from what previously was talked about. We never really had a hard dollar cost, but we're looking for hardware at an $8,000 price tag for 2 units, and currently Tough Book technology that I was seeking that Paso Robles City is using for the Tough Book alone was over $3,000 with the complement of operating components to support the system.
Was that Panasonic units or the Dells?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Dell platform.
Yeah. My understanding through conversations with county and Slow PD that they don't really favor the Panasonic units anyway. Will this allow us to interface with the county CAD?
Absolutely, that's the goal, is to be visible throughout the county and the state. We participate in our own activities, but our activities branch from Oregon to Mexico and over to Nevada, the borders of the state to the Pacific Ocean. So not only will we be able to see who's coming to us, they will be able to see where we're at in the system. So this is part of our required interface. In addition, there's a small buy-in for integration into the emergency reporting system software that we have. And emergency reporting is a pretty flexible software to where we could have as many users as we want for one buy-in price. So I think it's a $500 annual, And that CAD will dump into emergency reporting as well, so it'll make our reporting systems a lot easier and streamlined with faster turnover on reports.
Okay.
Final question, does Camp Roberts or CAL FIRE across the county line, do they use the system as well?
This is a statewide system, we're just using the county as our primary dispatch.
Got it, okay.
Camp Roberts is currently trying to outfit their equipment, but since they have that federal, state, naval component, civilian, they're kind of tied down.
Okay.
This is by far a much more affordable option than I've seen in the past, being that, for $15,277.50, we could be up and running in 2 units, and it's upgradable, so there's a small annual buy-in. It looks like it's $1,100, $1,182, that's for 2 units, so if we had a 3rd unit, we could add 50% onto that for an annual service agreement, and that includes the Wi-Fi card, so we're getting the Verizon card through the state's buying power. So we're paying a lesser rate, we don't have to augment our Verizon service, because we're getting to the end of the rope with the amount of Wi-Fi cards that we have in our computers.
So the annual fees, is that like a annual support maintenance for the?
It's a software agreement, basically, and then there's a small component for them to manage it, but it's all licensing is what we're looking at.
Okay. And the system itself is relatively robust, and I'm assuming it's fairly recent? It's not like they go obsolete anytime soon?
No, I had that conversation with Chief Fowler today, as a matter of fact, and he said basically once we install it, we'll get some education from his assistant, assistant chief, I guess you'd call him ECC. His name is Kevin, I don't know his last name, just Kevin, which is good terms to be on. But he'll come out, do the final download, integration, link with the county system and the state system, make sure we have the proper load and the communications, and then give us some training. And he said basically it's just point and shoot. You just look at the thing and say, responding, and they know we're responding, and then at scene, release and all that stuff, and then we get built into the report. It makes it a lot more streamlined and takes a big burden off of ECC.
Would it enhance operations for strike teams?
It will definitely enhance operations for strike teams because it has a mapping component that comes with it. So the county state-wide maps are dumped into that system. So we could use the mapping software for some incidents. I have a couple on my phone, but it would be much more beneficial to have that in a laptop platform on the unit. And we could identify, report back to the GIS unit, and they'll be able to download the information. They'll do a daily info dump on it.
Thank you. Any public comment or questions? All right, I have a motion to approve.
Second. If you wanted a second, you look like you were in a second.
Do Rochambeau.
Director Gregory,
Yes.
Director Calvin,
Yes.
President Sangster,
Yes.
passes 3-0, 2 absent. Three, zero, two. Okay. So we're gonna adjourn to closed session and come back here at 6:35. Because that's how it's agendized, okay?
Yes.
Okay. It'll give me time to get a couple things done and shut off the recording.
Oh, yeah, I had 6? Oh,
Hmm?
okay, I see.
Oh, good, yes, sorry. I just
So I'm gonna turn off the recording.
it's that building and stuff like that, there was just right towards the end and almost done, and just a lot of stuff going on. Everything. But good, and then bottling and runaway.
Done?
That's done.
I heard the festival